Imagine you walk to your mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon. It's 1977. You live in a small Ohio town where everyone knows your name, and presumably, they're always glad you came. You pull out the mail, and there's an envelope with no return address, postmarked from Columbus. You open it, and inside, written in aggressive block letters, is a message that stops you cold. It says they know what you did. Whether they mentioned last summer, well, we're not sure, but it does say they've been watching your house. It says they know about your children. And then it threatens to tell everyone your darkest secret.
For nearly 2 decades, the residents of Circleville, Ohio lived under the surveillance and fear of an anonymous letter writer who seemed to know everything about everyone. Over 1,000 letters, exposed affairs, accusations of corruption, and eventually a body count. And not in you just ask a question to your significant other you'll definitely regret. This was murder.
I mean, a man went to prison for it. But here's the thing. The letters kept coming while he sat in solitary confinement with no access to pen or paper, toilet, or otherwise.
And whether he had a body count in jail is undetermined.
Wow.
So, either the wrong man was convicted or someone picked up that TMZ mantle.
Well, tonight, we're diving into the psychology of anonymous power, the sociology of small town secrets, and the philosophy of why we hide the things we hide.
Welcome to Mugshot Mysteries. I'm Gabriel.
And I'm Kathryn. Tonight, the Circleville Letters. This is a story about what happens when someone decides to drag an entire community's sins right into the light. I mean, dragging and screaming into the light. Before we get into the letters, the death, the booby trap, yeah, there's a booby trap, we need to talk about Circleville itself, because this story doesn't work without understanding what it means to live in a place where everyone knows your business, or at least they think they do. I mean, I have certainly noticed a trend that many of our stories are based in small towns, and we'll get to the bottom of that.
Sneaky footsteps in the night, clues that vanish out of sight. Grab your hat and magnifying glass. We'll talk this case and have a blast. Mugshot Mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know.
Circleville, Ohio, population around 14,000, which is a little bit bigger than some of the small towns we've done. And that's 14,000 then and now. And it's about 30 miles south of Columbus, smack dab in the middle of Pickaway County.
I love that.
The kind of place where the biggest annual event is a pumpkin show, which honestly, I am full hog down for.
Hog down?
Hog down for.
All right.
Over at the Pumpkinville show. And the families there have obviously lived for generations unknown.
So the pumpkin show draws over 400,000 visitors a year. And no, that's not like a typo. A town of 14,000 people hosts 400,000 people to look at pumpkins. I mean, it's sweet and it's wholesome. It's about 20% weird, but it's the kind of Americana that makes you think nothing bad could ever happen here. Maybe people think of moving there after they've seen such country bumpkin living. I mean, I'd be down.
I just am impressed that you said that. Here's the thing about small towns. And I say this with love because, well, I mean, I guess you say you grew up in one.
Yeah.
Your mom certainly lives in one.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying anything bad about it. But the intimacy cuts both ways. Everyone knows when you're struggling. They bring you casseroles when someone dies. They actually wave from their porches and with an open hand and not a middle finger.
But they also know when you come home late and they notice whose car is parked where it shouldn't be, and they remember that your grandmother had a Ginny problem, and they'll definitely be bringing that up at Thanksgiving 40 years later.
There's a concept called social surveillance. This is an informal monitoring that happens in tight-knit communities. It can be protective. It can also be suffocating. And in Circleville in the 1970s, someone decided to weaponize it like it was a gossip machine gun.
I want to set the historical stage here because the timing matters. The letters started in 1976. And you know what happened 2 years before that?
Watergate.
Nixon resigned in 1974. The entire country had just learned that the people in charge were liars. I mean, I think they suspected this beforehand as well, but they realized surveillance was real. The government was literally recording conversations in the Oval Office. The hidden truths could topple even the most powerful man in the world.
Americans went from trusting institutions, and they did probably a little bit more than they do now, to suspecting everyone almost overnight. In small town Ohio, this town would have felt that shift acutely. If the president was lying, who else was? These were still well into the times when the presidential scandals meant something. I mean, in the 1990s, we spent 2 months talking about whether Big Bubba inhaled that smoke or not.
The Circleville writer emerged in that exact cultural moment. A moment when exposing secrets felt almost righteous, when anonymous sources had just brought down a presidency.
And let's be clear, like Deep Throat, the informant exposing these crimes, and that's a name it's hard for me to open my mouth to say.
Wow.
The Circleville writer was exposing affairs. They were exposing rumors and personal failures. There is a difference between whistleblowing and whatever this was, but maybe not to them.
I mean, which I agree with. I mean, think about it. If someone is cheating on their spouse, don't people have a right to know? Doesn't the betrayed partner deserve the truth?
Maybe, but the question is, does a stranger with an angry pen get to make that call? And more importantly, does the way they do it matter? Because the Circleville writer didn't gently inform anyone of anything. They terrorized people, they bullied people, they scared people. There was nothing cheeky or lighthearted about it. This wasn't bro power or girls unite. This was mean. This wasn't Kathy, maybe you should sit down for this. This was announcing the affair before breakfast.
All right, so let's introduce the players. We've got Mary Gillispie, who was a school bus driver in her mid-30s. She was a mother to young children and was married to Ron Gillispie, and by all accounts, a normal woman living a normal life in a normal town.
Now, Gordon Massey was the superintendent of the Westfall School District. Also married. You can see where this is going. The first letters accused Mary and Gordon of having an affair.
And were they? Because at first, Mary denied it categorically. She swore to her husband the accusations were false.
But later, after Ron's death, which we'll get to, she admitted the affair was real. She claimed, however, it started after the letters began, not before. Which is a convenient timeline. Could the Circleville writer see the future? Maybe. Or did they see a Ford Explorer rocking after schools in the parking lot? Either way, Ron had to be rolling his eyes in the grave.
I mean, yeah, because I'm rolling mine pretty hard right now. This is giving, we didn't get together on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It was only after. Hashtag Team Jen.
And you're very passionate about this.
Beyond.
But regardless of the timing, the writer clearly knew something, and they were determined to punish someone for these Ford Explorer indiscretions.
Okay, so the first letter arrived in the spring of 1977. Mary Gillispie opened an envelope with no return address, which was postmarked from Columbus. And in it, she found a message written in bold block letters accusing her of having an affair with the school superintendent. Simple, to the point.
The letter read in part, "I know where you live. I've been observing your house and I know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious." Which I think I would take serious. I would probably grab one of the 2 bats I have under my bed. You know, the one that I would certainly forget about in an emergency when a bat would actually come in handy.
I mean, imagine someone is telling you that they've been watching your home. They know about your kids and they're warning you in that threatening but not quite illegal way that things could get worse.
So Mary initially kept it to herself. She was probably hoping it was a one-time thing, some cranked up person with a degree in mythology. It wasn't.
And a week later, another letter. Same block handwriting, same accusations. This time with more details. And then her husband Ron started getting the letters too.
Now, poor Ron, his letters were nastier. The guy who was getting cheated on. They told him his wife was in danger if he couldn't stop her affair. They urged him to go to the school board with that information. One letter told him, "Make her confess or your life is in danger."
Jeez. And the writer could have just exposed the affair publicly, sent the letters to the school board directly, posted signs, whatever. But they didn't. At least not at first. They went to the husband.
Now, you could probably say they wanted to watch the marriage implode from the inside. Or at the very least, maybe to get to overhear an awkward conversation or two.
Exactly. This wasn't about justice. This was about inflicting maximum pain while maintaining control. The FBI profiler, Mary Ellen O'Toole, later analyzed the case and described the writer as someone with a serious personality disorder who enjoyed hurting others. Someone whose need for power and domination pre-existed these letters.
Now, there's a concept called epistemic power, the power that comes simply from knowing things about people. Information is leverage, and this writer hoarded leverage like a dragon hoards gold. In this case, that dragon I mentioned is actually Kathryn, who for whatever reason seems to extract information people like she's some sort of gossip phlebotomist.
I don't think I've ever been described as a gossip phlebotomist before.
Has anybody actually ever been described as a gossip phlebotomist?
I don't think so. So I might...
Good for me, huh?
I might wear that as a badge of honor. I like it. But listen, bruh.
Yeah, what's up?
People tell me things and it's not my fault. I just ask questions and people give away everything.
That's true.
I don't want it all the time, trust me. There is plenty of stuff I wish I could forget. Let's get it back to the Gillispies. They eventually told family, including Ron's sister and her husband, Paul Freshour. Remember that name. They went to the sheriff and an investigation started. Phones were tapped, houses were watched, and things finally got real.
But guess what? The letters, they kept it coming, and they spread beyond just Mary. Gordon Massey got letters. The school board got letters. Soon, it was like half the town was finding accusations in their mailboxes. Which, who has time to write all these letters? My God. My suspects, do you know who they would consist of? Those receiving unemployment benefits.
I mean, that's solid.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with you today.
Yeah.
Well, it gets dark. Indecent signs started appearing around town, and some of them targeted Mary's 12-year-old daughter, suggesting she was involved with Gordon Massey too.
A child. They dragged a child into this.
Ron Gillispie had to wake up early every morning to tear down the signs before his daughter could see them on her way to school. That's your life, every single day. Driving your route, hoping you got there first.
I'd have murder on my brain. No, but seriously, that's psychological torture. It's systematic, it's calculated, and this was building towards something much greater.
Okay, so we want to pause here and really dig into this from a psych angle, because the Circleville writer isn't just a criminal. They're a case study in the dark side of human nature.
Let's start with the anonymity itself. So there's a famous concept called de-individuation. And this is the idea when people lose their individual identity, they are more likely to behave in ways they would never otherwise.
It was first studied in the context of mobs and riots. So when you're a part of a crowd, when no one knows your name, the normal social constraints that govern behavior start to dissolve. Just you and your cosplay, and damn it, Pikachu is an angry citizen with a sign.
Good for you. In this case, the Circleville writer wasn't even in a crowd though. They were entirely alone. They were writing letters in secret, and yet the anonymity still unlocks something in them like the first time you put makeup on.
It was a glorious moment. I can still remember. The psychologist John Suller described what he called the online disinhibition effect. Why people say things online about your mama that they never say in person? Yeah, it's one of the key factors. It's the invisibility. When no one can see you, you feel free from consequences. Or like when I worked the call center for the bank. Yes. My gosh, people are so freaking bold.
Well, like what? Like yelling at you?
This one guy was literally cussing me out up and down because too long didn't read. And then would stop and talk to his customers so sweetly and then go right back to me cussing me out up and down. And I'm like, you're a jackass.
Someone needs to talk to his mama. You guys know who you are. Don't yell at girls or guys. Well, in this case, felt is probably the right word because consequences still technically existed. Paul Freshour, he went to prison. Someone paid a price.
But the writer felt invincible, and that sense of invincibility seems to have been almost addictive because the letters escalated over time. There were more targets, worse accusations. It's like they kept needing a bigger hit, chasing that proverbial gossip dragon.
And there is research into this. Studies on anonymous trolling behavior show that the more someone gets away with, the bolder they become. If you've ever been online, you know this. Success breeds escalation. Mama jokes quickly turn into much more insidious chatter.
And then there's the question of motive. FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole said the writer likely had a serious personality disorder. Someone who enjoyed hurting others. But I think it's more complicated than that. I think about what it takes to sustain a campaign like this. I mean, nearly 20 years, over 1,000 letters. That's not just cruelty, that's an obsession. That's someone whose entire sense of meaning became wrapped up in this project. That's someone who can clearly write quickly in bold block letters. I couldn't do that.
I would definitely have been left out as a suspect. So these letters become their identity. There's a concept called narcissistic supply. And this isn't just those who think their weed's better than everybody else's. This is attention and emotional reactions that feed a narcissist's ego. Every time someone in Circleville opened a letter and had a reaction, fear, anger, shame, the writer got a hit of that supply, even though they weren't even there to see it. It's just imagined.
And well, here's the thing though, they didn't need to see it because they knew it was happening. They could imagine the terror, the marriages crumbling, the whispered conversations. And that imagination was enough.
Well, I wish I had that imagination. Now, here's a question for you, Miss K. If you knew someone was cheating, like 100% knew, would you tell their spouse? Now, would you tell them, but you could do it anonymously?
Okay, my gut says no, because if I'm not willing to put my name on it, maybe I shouldn't be saying it at all. But then what if the spouse deserves to know? What if they're being exposed to like STDs? What if there are kids involved? You know, how scared are you of syphilis?
It's an irrational fear, like getting stuck in the middle of a fathomless ocean. No.
So weird.
So to you, look it up. It is very scary. Everybody, stop what you're doing and go look up.
No, this is a second podcast. We're rolling, guys. I apologize for him.
All right, so for you, the second question is, so the method matters less than getting the message through?
I don't know, because maybe the method always matters, because once you go anonymous, you're not having a conversation anymore. You're just issuing a verdict. You're taking away the other person's ability to respond, to explain, to contextualize. You become judge, jury, and executioner without ever facing the defendant.
Okay, good answer. Now, that is exactly what happened in Circleville. The writer decided who was guilty and what the punishment should be. There was no trial, there was no defense, there was just sentences.
There's another psychological angle here, the concept of moral licensing. It's the idea that when people feel they've done something good, they give themselves permission to do something bad.
Now, how does that apply here? Like I worked out, therefore I deserve Taco Bell. No, the writer probably told themselves they were doing a good thing. They were exposing wrongdoing. They were punishing sinners. And that self-righteous narrative gave them the okay to do horrible things. They were bringing a child into this whole thing, possibly contributing to a death because in their mind, the ends justify the means. So they saw themselves as a hero, which we know these people. These people work in our offices.
Well, they thought of themselves as at least a necessary force, like a corrective, the person brave enough to say what everyone else was thinking. You know, that was a necessary evil.
Yeah, they thought they were the gossip punisher. No, which is... This is exactly how some of the worst people in history have justified a whole list of horrible shit they've done. It's like a softball of an excuse. It's a low-hanging excuse. It's an easy connection for the human brain to make so they can keep on keeping on.
It's the paradox of vigilante justice. Like the same impulse that makes someone want to expose a predator can, unchecked, turn someone into a predator themselves.
Wow, that sounded fancy. Good job, Mrs. K. I'm really learning something this semester.
Oh my gosh. August 1977, Mary Gillispie left for a trip to Florida with her sister-in-law, and Ron stayed home with the kids.
Now, while she was gone, Ron received a phone call. According to his children, after he hung up, he was pissed. He told him he finally knew who the letter writer was. So he grabbed his gun and he said he was gonna go confront them.
He never came home.
Yeah, because Ron Gillespie's pickup truck was found wrapped around a tree at an intersection. Well, he knew well. He was dead. He was only 35.
Here's what was found at the scene. Under Ron's body was a .22 caliber revolver. It had been fired exactly once, and his blood alcohol level was nearly twice the legal limit.
Now, the sheriff just ruled it an accident, drunk driving.
But Ron's family and friends immediately pushed back. They said he wasn't a heavy drinker. They said he was stone cold sober when he left the house. His kids confirmed it. Dad seemed upset, but he wasn't impaired.
So, where did the alcohol come from? And why did he fire his gun?
Well, the official position was that maybe he fired at the letter writer and missed, or the gun discharged in the crash, but that doesn't explain how a sober man became twice the legal limit between his house and a tree a few miles away.
Okay, well, here's where I'm going to stop and say one thing. As someone who's partaken in a road soda or 5, wasn't driving. Was not driving. You can get pretty loose on a surprisingly short trip. If you've ever gone on a, party bus? Yeah, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, maybe the drinking thing is not too mysterious. You know what I mean? Either way, how the gun went off. Now, that's certainly a mystery I think is worth discovering. Paul Freshour, Ron's brother-in-law, he was convinced it was murder. He said the sheriff initially agreed there was foul play, but then suddenly he changed his story after one unnamed person of interest passed one polygraph. Again with these polygraphs.
Yeah. And then, surprise, the Circleville writer had some thoughts. Like you in the kitchen when I'm cooking. I'll just call you Alton Brown. Get the hell out of my kitchen.
I personally love when you cook. So whatever I have to do to get more out of you, you lay out a list and I'll follow it all.
Stay the hell out of my kitchen.
Okay, I'll stay out.
Okay.
I won't have any thoughts. Okay? Now, like after Ron's death, letters started arriving accusing Sheriff Dwight Radcliffe of covering up the crime. Now, why would he do this? Some accused Mary and Gordon Massey of being responsible for killing Ron.
So now the writer isn't just exposing affairs. They're accusing people of murder. And the letters multiplied. By the early 1980s, over 1,000 letters had flooded the town, and almost everyone was a target.
And the content was just like a potpourri. There was range from affairs to fraud to corruption to outright murder accusations. The entire town was paralyzed by suspicion.
And okay, the town participated. People read the letters. They gossiped about them. They believed them, or at least wondered if they were true.
Now, why they kept on checking those letters, we're going to get into.
Yeah, I can't.
So the writer had this power because the community gave them power. If everyone had thrown the letters away unread, the campaign would have meant nothing immediately.
There is a sociological concept called collective effervescence, usually applied to positive group energy, like at concerts or religious services, but it works for mob mentality too. And the town became an unwitting amplifier for terror. Again, The Simpsons episode with pitchforks. Picture it, guys.
Well, I want you to picture one thing. Why didn't they throw away the letters? Now, if you got one of those letters about your neighbor, someone you barely knew, would you throw it away? Or would you read every word?
I mean, I'd read it in a heartbeat. I'm definitely reading it. As a girl, you need to be wary of possible danger is one reason, and that's true. And the other is, of course, my inquisitiveness. Yep. You know, people call me Cat. We're curious. Curiosity killed the cat, okay? That's why we have 9 lives. So it's naturally given. And thanks, Grandma, because I get it from you. It skipped a generation. My mom is not a gossip. I think most people would, and that's exactly what the writer was counting on, people reading it. So let's zoom out and talk about the secrets themselves, because this case isn't really about one letter writer. It's about the entire ecosystem of hidden knowledge that small towns run on.
So there is something sociologists called the polite fiction. These are the lies we all agree to believe because the truth would be too disruptive. Every office has one. Every family has one. Every town has dozens.
Yeah, we don't talk about Uncle Jim's drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Those polite fictions, they're not always bad. Sometimes they give people room to change, to get sober, to end an affair quietly, to come back from their mistakes without being branded forever. It's like giving someone a chance to make amends on their own, we hope, better terms. It's a mercy.
Yeah, but sometimes they protect the predators, which is very germane to current world events, I'm just saying.
Right, and that's kind of the impossible tension. The same silence that protected Dr. Carroll, the coroner, who, again, turned out to be a dirty, disgusting pedophile.
Ugh.
might also protect someone's teenage son who makes like one stupid mistake and deserves a second chance. Now, mind you, a truly stupid mistake, like mooning the principal, not like, you've read the news before.
But the Circleville writer wasn't just exposing secrets. They were breaking the social contract. Every community has unspoken rules about what gets discussed and what doesn't, and those rules create stability.
And when someone violates them, even with true information, it breaks everything. The order gets totally foobar.
The concept called the open secret, it's when everybody knows something, but no one says it out loud. I mean, how many people in Circleville already knew about Mary and Gordon's affair before the letters started?
Well, probably more than we think.
Exactly. I mean, the writer wasn't revealing, they were just forcing acknowledgement, making something that could be politely ignored into something that had to be addressed.
And once it gets addressed, you can't go back. Stitches be damned.
And that's the cruelty of it. Like, even if Mary and Gordon had ended things quietly, even if Ron and Mary had worked it out, the letters made that impossible. The writers stole their chance at private resolution, which maybe is what they wanted.
So something you're probably not thinking, there's also an economic angle here. In small towns, reputation is a currency. It's how you get jobs. It's how you get credit at the store. It's how your kids get treated at school. The writer wasn't just spreading gossip, they were committing financial terrorism. There are a lot of isms getting committed here on the whole, including cockblockism.
I think people are going to discover, wow, becomes like one word I use around you a lot. But that's a really important point, not the cockblockism. We're moving right past that. And when we think about harm, we think about physical harm or emotional harm. But reputational harm is economic harm, and people lose livelihoods over this stuff.
Okay, and in a town of 14,000, you can't just move to a different neighborhood and start over. Everyone knows, everyone remembers.
Which brings me to the children. Mary's daughter, who had those horrible signs posted about her. The children of everyone who got letters. What happened to them?
And again, something you don't think of, that's a generational trauma piece.
Mm-hmm.
Kids absorb everything. They hear their parents fighting. They see the whispers at school. They internalize shame that isn't even theirs. Look, you can screw up your kids 2 million different ways, and these are high up on the list. Children are like prescription glasses. You think you get them clean, but just wait until you get out in the right light. There's smudges everywhere.
We know that Karen Sue's son, Mark, Paul Freshour's stepson, died by suicide in 2002. And I'm not saying the letters cause that directly, but growing up in the middle of that chaos and having your family torn apart by accusations and trials in prison, I mean, that leaves a mark.
Yeah, at the very least, it's not very helpful.
Mm-mm.
So the Circleville letters didn't just affect the people who received them, they rippled outward for decades. And while we give them all this gravitas, I mean, I don't think we're actually being dramatic.
And that's something the writer either didn't consider or just didn't care about. When you expose someone's secret, you're not just affecting them. You're affecting everyone who loves them, everyone who depends on them, everyone who will inherit the fallout.
And well, let's just be honest, they didn't give a shit.
Mm-mm.
The immediate visceral payoffs were just too good to stop. Secrets aren't just personal, they're communal. They exist in a web of all these relationships, and they are addictive to unearth.
And when you rip that web apart, you don't really get to choose who falls through. 1983, 6 years after Ron's death, Mary Gillispie is still driving her school bus route, still getting letters, and still living under the shadow of an anonymous tormentor.
She's also, by this point, openly in a relationship with Gordon Massey. Remember, she admitted the affair after Ron died, though she maintained it started after the letters began. Make of that what you will.
Mm-hmm.
I know I make a big bullshit pie over here, just a mile high.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. And on February 7th, 1983, Mary was driving her bus route when she spotted a vulgar sign posted along the road. This one targeted her teenage daughter again, accusing her of involvement with Massey.
Now, Mary had had enough. She stopped the bus, she got out, and she went to tear that damn sign down.
But she hesitated. She noticed the sign was attached to a post, which was connected by twine to a small box. Curious, and probably hoping this was finally evidence, She removed the entire contraption and brought it onto the school bus.
Now, you can just imagine this thing rattling around next to her as she drove country roads picking up children for school.
After she finishes her route, well, she opens the box.
Inside was a loaded .25 caliber pistol. It was rigged to fire when the sign was pulled down in, I guess, a real complete hijinksy Looney Tune sort of way.
I mean, this was attempted murder, you guys. The escalation from harassment to homicide had happened.
Finally, right? So Mary apparently brought the box.
Finally?
Well, you just think it was leading to this by now. I mean, there's a lot of passively aggressive letters by this point.
We're like, let's get to the big stuff.
Well, I'm just saying something had to give. So she immediately brings the box to the sheriff. The serial number on the gun had been filed off, but investigators were able to recover just enough of it to trace the ownership.
Dun dun dun. The gun belonged to Paul Freshour, Mary's brother-in-law, Ron's brother-in-law, the same man who had been convinced Ron was murdered.
Now, since I'm stupid, when you say Mary's brother-in-law and Ron's brother-in-law, I figured he was a brother of one of them. However, I'm realizing that was the husband of her sister. Anyways, so plot twist.
Genealogy is hard for you, huh?
It is very hard for me. Just don't get me started with that stuff. So this is the big plot twist here. It was, in fact, the brother-in-law with the candlestick the whole time.
Wow. We were going to have to count the wows. It's going to be a new game for this podcast. But you guys, it gets a little bit more complicated than just figuring out the genealogy, because by 1983, Paul and his wife, Karen Sue, were in the middle of a nasty divorce. And when investigators went to talk to Karen Sue, who was Ron Gillespie's sister, she had a lot to say.
She told them Paul had become infuriated with Mary after Ron's death. She said Paul hated Mary over the Massey's deal. And then she dropped the bomb. Paul was a Circleville letter writer.
She said she found letters hidden throughout their house. She discovered one of them torn up in a toilet. So she had the evidence.
Paul denied everything. He claimed the gun had been stolen weeks earlier. And guess what?
No.
He took a polygraph test.
Well, at least in this case, he failed.
Well, that's why he went to jail.
Yeah.
If he had passed, it wouldn't have mattered. No amount of evidence would have sufficed.
Don't take polygraphs, guys. I'm just here to tell you that.
In October 1983, Paul Freshour went on trial for attempted murder. The case was not airtight. There was actually no physical evidence directly tying him to the booby trap, which is a funny word.
A little bit.
It's a trap. And he had an alibi for much of that afternoon when it would have been placed.
But 2 document examiners testified that the handwriting on the anonymous letters could be Paul's. The jury convicted him, and he was sentenced to 7 to 25 years.
Circleville breathed a sigh of relief. The letter writer was behind bars, finally. The nightmare was over.
Except it wasn't. Because strap yourselves in, folks. We got a bit more to say.
After Paul Freshour's conviction, everyone expected the letters to stop. He was in prison. Problem solved, right?
But the letters did not stop.
Because they kept on arriving. Same block handwriting, same accusations, same tone. Some were postmarked from distant locations, places Paul couldn't possibly have sent them from.
Prison officials were suspicious, so they put Paul in solitary confinement. No access to writing materials, so no way to send mail without supervision.
And the letters kept coming.
The prison warden conducted an investigation and determined that Paul could not possibly be sending them. It was physically impossible.
So, one of two things. They either convicted the wrong man, or someone else had picked up where he left off, or it was never just one person to begin with.
I mean, think about it. The letters spanned nearly 2 decades. The tone shifted, the targets expanded. What if the Circleville writer was never one person, but a kind of collective ID for the town? Multiple people with grudges, using the anonymity of an established phenomenon as cover.
That would obviously explain why the letters continued. Once a template existed, anyone could use it.
And despite the warden's findings, Paul was denied parole for years. He had 7 years of perfect behavior, but suspicion that he was somehow still the writer kept him locked up.
Now, he was finally released on parole in 1994, and he had served a full decade. And here's the thing. The letters stopped around the same time.
But it proves nothing. Maybe Paul was the writer and the letters stopping after his release was coincidence. And maybe whoever was writing while he was in prison stopped because the case was just getting too much attention. Maybe everyone just got tired?
Or maybe everyone realized there wasn't an excuse anymore to write them. So Paul maintained his innocence until his death in 2012. He even approached the FBI after his release and he asked them to investigate. They never responded.
Recent forensic analysis has muddied the waters further. A forensic document expert named Beverly East examined 49 letters for a 48 hours investigation and says she identified the writer. Investigators also found Paul Freshour's fingerprints on about a dozen letters postmarked while he was incarcerated.
So really, his fingerprints on letters sent while he was in prison.
I mean, that's what was reported. And how that's possible, I genuinely don't know. Maybe he wrote them before his incarceration and someone else mailed them. Maybe the fingerprint evidence was contaminated or misinterpreted, or maybe we're missing something.
Well, it seems like everybody's missing something because this case remains officially unsolved. The Pickaway County Sheriff's Office has closed the file, but the questions linger like a drunk person at a party.
Okay, so we promised you the good stuff, the secrets the writer exposed, because here's the bitter truth. The Circleville writer was right, like a lot.
That affair between Mary and Gordon Massey, it was confirmed, at least eventually. Come on now. I'm not buying the story that the allegations of an affair led to an affair. That's like saying I'm only ugly because someone called me ugly once. Man, we knows I was always ugly and they was always bony.
Oh my gosh. That's not even a wow. The prosecutor in Paul Freshour's trial was a man named Roger Klein. The writer sent letters accusing him of having an affair with a woman who later died. Turned out to be true. Klein was discovered to have had the affair, and he was the father of her unborn child, which you said you wanted the juice. So here it is.
The man who prosecuted the Circleville letter case had his own secret exposed by the Circleville Letters. You can't make that up. And the Circleville writer didn't either.
Dr. Ray Carroll, who performed Rob Gillespie's autopsy, was also targeted. The writer accused him of being a pedophile. And in 1993, he was charged with 12 counts, including gross immorality, sex crimes against minors, corruption of a minor, pornography, obscenity, and indecent exposure.
The coroner, the man who decided Ron's death was an accident, an absolute disgrace to the human race. Not like the job of a coroner needed anyone muddying the weirdness of those employed.
Honestly, and here's the thing, how did the writer know? Like, that's the question. The level of intimate knowledge, affairs, crimes, corruption suggests someone deeply embedded in the community. Someone with access to information normal people wouldn't have.
Or multiple someones, a network of informants. It's like a shared group project.
And here's what I want everyone to think about. You, our listeners, you want to know these secrets. I can feel it. You're listening because the idea that someone knew everything about a town's hidden sins is fascinating. I mean, maybe a little satisfying?
So, we're recreating the exact dynamic the writer exploited. Right now, this podcast is a modern-day Circleville letter, and you're the townspeople reading every word. See? We trapped you.
That's not a criticism. It's human nature. We're wired to care about the secrets, ours and others. The question is, what do we do with that impulse? So that's the elephant in the room. We are, right now, telling you other people's secrets. We're talking about Mary Gillispie's affair, Ron's possible murder, the coroner's crimes, all of it.
And we're kind of judging Mary. And you're listening. You choose to press play. You're however long in and you're still here. We hope. Thank you for being here, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not even offering a free vacation package after the seminar. You know what? Please stay. And please come back.
But I'm not saying that to shame anyone. I'm saying it because I think it's worth interrogating. What is the difference between the Circleville writer and us? Us as like us in general. I mean, other than those of you listening are clearly people of impeccable taste and refinement.
Indeed. But we're not threatening anyone. And we're not sending any Looney Tune booby trap boxes.
But we are spreading information about people's private lives to a bunch of people. Mary Gillispie is presumably still alive. Her daughter is definitely still alive. They didn't ask to be the subject of a podcast.
Okay, so you're making me think we need a lawyer up? Do we have the lawyer up?
Possibly. I hope not.
Well, Mary, we're kidding. Well, there is a philosophical distinction between public interest and public curiosity. Some things do deserve to be known. Corruption, abuse of power, systematic injustice. And some things, guess what? We just want to know because we like knowing stuff.
So where does this case fall?
Well, this case is kind of both. There are legitimate questions about whether Ron Gillispie was murdered and whether the right person went to prison. But there's also just like gossip, affairs, drama. This is the stuff that makes us lean in.
The true crime genre has this fundamental tension. We tell ourselves we're interested in justice and understanding the human condition and learning from tragedy. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes we're just rubbernecking at a car crash.
And the subjects of these stories become characters. Mary Gillispie isn't a real person to most listeners. She's a woman who might have been having an affair, whose husband might have been murdered.
I mean, it is dehumanizing in a subtle way, and that same dehumanization the letter writer engaged in, it's reducing complex people to their worst moments and their biggest secrets.
So, how do we do this ethically? Or is there a way we can't?
I mean, I think you just try to be fair. You try to present multiple perspectives. You try to remember that everyone in these stories was a real person with a full life beyond what we're discussing. I mean, you think the implication is there, but you do have to be cognitive of it.
But you can't fully escape that dynamic. The moment we hit record, Kathryn, we're both creating something beautiful and everlasting and pertinent.
Are these wedding vows?
But we're also participating, right, in this effect.
It's true. And you, the listener, well, you're participating too. And that is not an accusation. It's just a fact. We're all in this together, baby. Knowledge is power, but maybe it's hard to choose what is right or wrong to know. And sometimes you just want all of it.
So there is a psychological concept called the bystander effect, which you've probably heard of. And this is the idea that the more people who witness something, the less responsibility any individual feels. With true crime content, we're all bystanders. We're all watching from a distance, and that distance can make us forget that we're watching something real. There's temporal distancing, so something happens a long time ago, right? You learn about it, and it lessens the emotional impact on you. Or just emotional detachment. If something happens to someone else, it means less to you.
And the residents of Circleville weren't evil for reading the letters. They were human. They were curious and drawn to scandal the way everyone is. But their reading gave the letters power. Their attention was the fuel, and there is no denying that the attention made these letters keep coming.
And our attention, our downloads, listens, shares, we are part of that machine as much as I don't really want to be. I don't want to be a sheep.
You just be aware, be thoughtful, and remember that every story we consume was someone's worst day.
Let's zoom out and talk philosophy for a moment. Why do we keep secrets in the first place?
Well, the obvious answer to me is shame. We hide the things that we're not proud of, like the affair, the addiction, the failure, but it's more complicated than that. Secrets also create intimacy, and sharing a secret with someone bonds you to them.
And secrets create power structures. The person who knows your secret has leverage over you. That's true whether it's a blackmailer or just your best friend who knows about your embarrassing crush.
Societies, and especially those small communities, run on a kind of agreed upon silence. We don't talk about Uncle Jim's drinking. We pretend the mayor's son didn't get arrested. We look the other way.
And that silence can be protective. It gives people room to fail and recover without permanent public judgment. But it can also enable harm. It protects predators. It perpetuates cycles.
The Circleville writer existed in the tension between those two truths. On one hand, they were terrorizing innocent people and destroying families, possibly contributing to a death. And on the other hand, they exposed a pedophile. They revealed genuine corruption.
Does the outcome justify the method? Now, that's a question philosophers have debated forever. Consequentialism says something's moral value is entirely justified by its outcome. If more can come from the exposure than harm, it is totally justified.
Okay, so I want to sound smart too. So check it. There is deontological ethics, and this is Kant stuff, which is the idea that some actions are inherently right or wrong regardless of the outcome. that basically there is a rigid system in place to judge this. The method matters. Terrorizing people is wrong, even if some good accidentally comes from it.
Well, check this, Kathryn. What would you do if you found out your brother-in-law was the one writing threatening letters to your family? Yeah, you might be listening.
If I genuinely believe they were dangerous, I'd have to say something. But would I go to the police? Or would I confront him privately first? I mean, I don't know, man. The family dynamics alone, like, okay, I wouldn't turn you in, but I'd have to find out what I did to piss you off.
It's a lot of things, really.
What?
So next one. Karen Sue went to the police during a divorce, and this raises many questions, like, what is her motive? Was she genuinely exposing the truth, or was she weaponizing suspicion to win a custody battle?
Well, the same questions the writer was forcing on everyone else got turned back on people trying to stop them. Who can you trust? Who's telling the truth? And who has an agenda?
And that's probably the legacy of the Circleville Letters. Not just the deaths or the imprisonment or the exposed secrets or the pedophiles. It's what happens when there's a permanent erosion of all the trust in an entire community.
All right, Gabriel, rapid fire. I'm going to give you moral dilemmas from this case and you tell me what you do.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, up first. You find letters hidden in your spouse's belongings. They're clearly drafts of anonymous threatening letters that match the ones terrorizing your town. What do you do?
I write even more threatening letters to add to those.
That's why we're married. I would never do that.
Ride or die. No. First, I would confront you, make sure that you are thinking okay. And I'd be like, babe, I don't really want you to go to jail. Not for a long time, at least. I'd give you a chance. And then, I probably wouldn't turn you in until you booby-trapped the gun to a sign or, you try to light me on fire when I was sleeping.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate most of that answer. And what the hell?
No, but for real, it's a tough one to figure out. How good is our marriage? Some people might happily turn them in. Is there an alternative motive is all I'm saying. And so are they doing it because they feel like they're doing the right thing? Or do they really just not want to be married anymore?
Fair. Next one. Your neighbor shows you a letter they received accusing your other neighbor of something terrible. Do you read it?
I would like to tell myself I was reading it to understand the threat, to figure out if I should be worried. But it's not like I wouldn't naturally be curious, and I'm way less curious than you, but also like, how weird would it be if I didn't read it? I need to know if I'm dodging gunfire between the Hatfields and the McCoys over here.
I mean, same. I don't even hate that part about me. I think that part of me keeps me safe.
All right, so your turn. You're on the jury for Paul Freshour. The evidence is circumstantial, but the letters keep coming from prison. Do you convict?
Well, based on what we know now, the letters continued from solitary. That the warden said it was impossible. So, no, I couldn't convict beyond reasonable doubt.
But as far as I'm aware, the jury didn't have all that information.
Right. So they made a reasonable decision based on what they knew, and they might have been wrong.
Okay, here's another one. You're Mary Gillispie. Your husband just died under suspicious circumstances. The letters are now accusing you of killing him. Do you stay or do you flee?
I'd want to say I'd stay and fight, but the reality is I'm getting the hell out of there. Take my kids somewhere no one knew us. That town isn't worth that much to me. After the first sign, to be honest, I'd have been a ghost if there was any possible way it could be done.
And she stayed.
She did. 4 decades, through everything. And that takes kind of strength and stupidity that I can't match. And also, I mean, she was having an affair, so she had something to stay for. I've got to call that out. I would like to think that would not be me.
Well, we can only hope. Last one. You're the sheriff. The coroner's autopsy says accident, but your gut says murder. The case is politically sensitive. The victim's family is connected. The primary suspect might be connected. Do you push harder?
This literally reads like the plot of a movie. Okay, but you know it. Justice matters more than politics. And also, I like to solve things and bring crimes to its knees, but I've seen how these things work. If you push too hard on the wrong person, then suddenly you're out of a job. Your family's getting threats and your secrets are getting exposed. So again, this is all from experience watching movies. So let's just say whatever the hero of a movie does, that's what I do, because I'm obviously born a hero.
Yeah, you are. Now, that whole thing was a fantastic answer. But you are right. At the end of the day, the system protects itself. And mostly, you can make a ripple. But unless people stand together, that system will crush one person.
And maybe that's what happened in Circleville. Not a grand conspiracy, just people making individually reasonable decisions that only help themselves, and that added up to injustice. Because it means it could happen anywhere, literally to anyone. So let's run through the suspects, because there's more than one viable option here.
First, obviously, Paul Freshour, the man that they actually convicted. His gun was used in the booby trap. His estranged wife implicated him. Handwriting analysis, flawed as it is, pointed to him. Fingerprints were found on some letters, and he failed a polygraph, even though those are super suspect themselves.
So arguments against. The letters continued while he was in solitary confinement. The prison warden confirmed he couldn't be sending them, and he maintained his innocence for 30 years until his death.
Second, Karen Sue Freshour, Paul's wife, Ron Gillespie's sister, she was going through a bitter divorce. She had access to Paul's gun. She definitely could have framed him.
And when Unsolved Mysteries came to Circleville to film, Karen Sue reportedly sat in a car across the intersection taking pictures of everyone who went in for interviews, watching. Now that's something.
So third, William Massey, Gordon Massey's son. Some of the letters were signed with a W. If he was angry about his father's affair or about Mary, he had motive.
Fourth, the El Camino man. Another bus driver reported that 20 minutes before Mary found the booby trap, she passed the same intersection and saw a yellow El Camino parked there with a large man standing nearby, and he was never identified.
Notably, someone Karen Sue was dating at the time drove a similar vehicle.
Fifth, Mary Gillispie herself. And now I know this sounds crazy, but some people, including internet sleuths, have wondered if she wrote some or all of the letters for attention. She was at the center of everything, you know?
Now, arguments against that. Why would she nearly get herself killed with a booby trap? Or did she? Why would she let her brother-in-law rot in prison for a decade? I mean, I would hope mine would not enjoy this.
And finally, multiple writers. The theory that the Circleville writer was never one person. The original writer may have been Paul or someone else entirely, but once the phenomenon existed, others clearly had to join it.
And that would explain the different tones, the continued letters during incarceration, and the sheer volume. 1,000 letters over 2 decades is a lot for one person operating in secrets. I'll save my thoughts for the end.
All right, so then where does that leave us?
With an unsolved mystery, a man who may have been wrongly imprisoned, a death that was probably not an accident, and a town that will never fully trust itself again.
Paul Freshour died in 2012. Karen Sue's son Mark died by suicide in 2002, reportedly after years of depression, and the case file is closed.
But the questions remain. What happened to Ron Gillespie? Who really wrote the letters? And what drove someone, or multiple someones, to terrorize an entire community for nearly 2 decades?
Well, we're going to go back to our FBI profiler, Mary Ellen O'Toole, because she said the writer had a personality disorder, remember? They enjoyed hurting people. The need for power and domination pre-existed those letters.
And she also said something interesting. Whoever wrote the letters, going to such lengths to stay anonymous, probably wouldn't have risked setting up that booby trap. It's too direct. It's too exposed. Seems like something someone would do when they want someone framed.
Which suggests either the trap was set by a different person or Paul Freshour was telling the truth. He wasn't the writer. Someone framed him. Or he was the writer and someone just wanted him to finally get caught. Seems to be where, I'm heading in this case.
Now, we'll probably never know for certain. Just kidding. I'm pretty positive it was Paul. Then it was Mary. Then any rando in the community just all writing their own letters. It was like Murder on Orient Express. There wasn't one person. The twist is that it was many. It's hard to catch someone if it's like 100 people. And just a thought. Seems too logical. If you had a free pass to write a letter about some gossip you knew and it could be blamed on some shadow person, kind of seems like you would. The whole town had a personality disorder. the mass group thought was like a hive mind of letters. By the way, I think that example was Murder on the Orient Express, but I know I have people who will fact check me on that one.
You will.
They say that the easiest way to get someone to give you an answer is not by asking for it. It's by being purposefully wrong.
I mean, I kind of hope you're wrong, but I'm not an expert on Agatha Christie. But you guys, that's what Circleville lived with for 20 years. Someone who knew their secrets and their schedules and their children's names. And they were just watching and judging and punishing.
So let's leave with this. We spent the last hour telling you other people's secrets. You listened. You wanted to know. We hope you wanted to know. That impulse, that hunger for hidden knowledge, that forbidden fruit, it's gotten people for a long time now, but it's exactly what made the Circleville writer powerful.
The next time you hear a rumor about someone, or get forwarded a screenshot of someone's private business, or click on a headline about a celebrity scandal, remember Circleville.
The writer had power because the town read the letters. We have power because we can choose not to. I'm Gabriel.
And I'm Kathryn. And this has been Mugshot Mysteries. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Mugshot Mysteries Podcast. And remember, everyone has secrets. Even you, even us. So before we leave today, I have to ask per usual, Gabriel, what have we learned today?
We've learned that we're all kind of nosy, but it isn't always for the wrong reasons. We've learned that being vindictive is a hell of a drug. Apparently. I wouldn't know, of course. We've learned that small towns mean different dynamics that I think you really only understand when you live in one. I know, for example, I wouldn't do well in one. Then again, if I got a casserole brought to my doorstep, I might change my tune real quick. We've learned that people are people and that you kind of have to expect people to do the things that they're gonna do. We can't help everything, but those things we can, that extra moment in time we decide not to click that clickbait, that moment when we walk away from Susan at the office spreading rumors, that hesitation, that realization that not all knowledge is worth knowing, that not all knowledge is yours to have, I think we can be better people, happier people. And finally, if you see a sign up in the distance and when you get close to it, you can see it's clearly a booby trap devised by Wiley the Coyote and a bunch of 5th graders, just drive on by. Wiley has to get lucky one day, right? Do you really want to be his first?
Circleville Letters will get you. When you got a secret, they'll be there to tell you who met you in the parking lot, in the darkest spot in Pickaway. There is no way you'll get away with it. Circleville is for the truth. Don't you do something you'd not want your mama